Hey guys, welcome back. So before I talk about the main subject of this video, I want to talk about a few things that I think that Seth MacFarlane does a really good job with. First of all, I think he has a really good sense of humor. I think that Family Guy a lot of times is really funny. I'm not going to go try to say that it's not funny, because I actually do laugh a lot when I watch Family Guy. The second thing is that Seth MacFarlane has a really good understanding of pop culture, and at times it's applied really well. So those are a couple things that I think Seth MacFarlane does a really good job with, right? And before I start the video, I also wanted to say I'm not going to be talking a lot about Family Guy in this video, because I feel like a lot of people have beaten that to death. Pretty much is how Family Guy has copied The Simpsons. I'm going to be talking more about the other examples that Seth MacFarlane is not very creative. But I will bring up Family Guy and The Simpsons because, as you guys know, I love The Simpsons. So if you notice, the collectibles that I have here actually all are somewhat related to Seth MacFarlane in a way. So we'll start with the Star Trek portion, because as you guys know, I've been watching Star Trek again recently, and I love Star Trek. So you guys probably know that Seth MacFarlane has a show called The Orville. So this show is about a starship that travels through the galaxy. Once again, I really enjoyed The Orville when I was watching, okay? So I'm not going to say that The Orville is a bad show either, alright? But here's the thing. The Orville is a parody of Star Trek. Specifically, Star Trek The Next Generation, because that's what the way the suits look like mostly. But the first thing that I noticed about this Star Trek parody, and it's the reason why I put parody in quotations, is I really didn't find it that funny, to be honest. No, I enjoyed the show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm saying I didn't think it was a very funny show. You know, I mean, so how is this really a parody of Star Trek if it's an enjoyable show, but it's not very funny? That's not really a parody. You know, that's a knockoff, okay? And I understand that this is coming from my opinion of the show and how funny it is, but I don't know. I feel like more people would also agree, because I've heard a lot of people talk about how great The Orville is, and I think it is great as well, but it's just a ripoff of Star Trek, and more people I think should be talking about that. How it's not really that funny, and that it's a good show, which makes it kind of a ripoff of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's like his own little version. And this is kind of what I've compared it to. Imagine if you gave millions of dollars to a huge Star Trek nerd, and they had to use it on making some sort of fan fiction Star Trek show. That's what it would be. So, yeah, it's hard for me to be like, oh, wow, this is super creative. And when I've seen it all before, and the fact that he's trying to kind of hide behind the whole parody thing, and that's kind of why I want to bring that up. It's like, it is kind of like he's hiding behind the idea that it's a parody of Star Trek. Because here's the thing, parodies, when done properly and respectfully, not just totally ripping things off, they're actually great. I think parodies are some of the best things ever made, okay? But if it's not funny, then it's not a parody. You know, it's just a ripoff. And so that's my opinion on The Orville. Because here's the thing. They explore serious questions in the show about, like, AI, you know, and other stuff, like, you know, human relations and whatnot. So, yeah, it's like Star Trek, you know? Like, it's not... In a comedy, you could explore questions like they do in South Park. But they explore it in a funny way, you know? They're just ridiculously funny, so they get a pass. Anybody who makes it funny gets a pass. But if you're not making it funny, and the most interesting part of the show is the stories in terms of, you know, stuff with science fiction and, you know, human relations, then that show is not a parody. It's just a serious rip-off sci-fi show. But the last thing with Seth is obviously The Simpsons, right? And I've heard some people talk about how because the pre-pilot to Family Guy, but very similar type pilot, which is called Larry and Steve. It was a show about like a guy who meets a dog that he's the only one that can hear the dog, and he saves the dog from being put to sleep, you know, and then they live together, and hijinks ensues, and whatever. Sounds pretty stereotypical. Anyways, people point to that and they say, see, it started off not being like The Simpsons, so it's not a ripoff of The Simpsons. Yeah, but look at how it turned out. Exactly the same. They're the same if they didn't have the same amount of kids, and if the dads weren't both ridiculously stupid, like just cartoonishly, unbelievably stupid, yeah, then it would be a little bit different.
But that's not the case. Just look at the similarities. No doubt a ripoff.
As I was editing, I realized something. As you can see, things are a little bit different. I realized that there are even Family Guy episodes that are almost identical to Simpsons episodes. The only one that I can really think of off the top of my head is the one where something happens to Peter and all of a sudden he goes from being extremely dumb to super smart. And that happens with an episode HOMR. That episode, it's home with just an R without the E, basically. That's what the episode's called. And they remove a crayon from his brain, you know, and he gets all smart. So that's the only, I mean, I haven't really watched all of Family Guy. I bet you if I watched all of Family Guy, I'd be able to find more examples. But from the ones that I watched when I was younger, I remember that one specifically. But I can name the episodes with The Simpsons. Once I watch the Family Guy episodes, I'll be able to line them up exactly and name them, too. So, yeah, once you've copied the characters, and then now you're copying plot lines, too, it's like, geez. Like in the South Park episode where they say, like, Simpsons did it, Simpsons did it. I forget what that one's called, actually, because I haven't watched through South Park in a little bit. Because I don't have HBO Max still. Again. But in that episode, they address that The Simpsons have done everything, so recycling one of their plot lines isn't the worst thing. But they didn't really do that. They took part of it and put it in part of the episode, but there was a whole other part with Butters and stuff that had to just do with The Simpsons in general. So that was like a meta episode, almost, but in terms of The Simpsons. Another thing that I wanted to just say real quick is that I actually think Family Guy is a pretty funny show. You know, I think that there's a lot of things in it that make me laugh. I mean, I know that. And, you know, I'm not gonna, like, say it's a bad show, once again. But it's not a very creative concept, just like the Orville, or what the Orville has turned out to be. In fact, the Orville is I'm not gonna say it's not a creative concept. It's just executed in a way that it's not a parody, it's a ripoff. So I guess the end product turns out to be not very creative. But the concept actually is pretty good, like a Star Trek-like situation, but it's actually like a parody, and it's actually like pretty funny. But once again, Family Guy, it's not a bad show. It's a pretty funny show. Just a bad concept in terms of it's already been done, and it's already been done really well, so the fact that you would try to imitate it and think you could do better is just kind of ridiculous. Make up your own thing, you know? Don't use a 5-person family that has the exact same type of kids. A baby, a daughter, and a son that's like adolescent to child age. I don't think the cutaways in Family Guy are actually like bad or terrible. Like how Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the South Park creators, that's their main complaint with Family Guy. Which I suppose they use a lot of cutaways, yeah, but I don't see what's wrong with cutaways. They say it's not a legitimate form of comedy, which I personally don't think that makes very much sense, and a lot of people don't. But I think the best critique of Family Guy and Seth MacFarlane in general, based on his track record and whatnot, would be that he's not very creative.